Walter Magaya, founder of Prophetic Healing and Deliverance, PhD Ministries, is currently held at Harare Remand Prison, facing multiple charges of rape and fraud. Despite his legal troubles, Magaya has attracted attention for conducting prayer crusades inside prison and paying bail for struggling inmates. This report explores the facts behind these actions, their impact on prisoners, public perception, and the broader implications for justice and faith in Zimbabwe. It also evaluates whether these acts represent genuine humanitarian efforts or a calculated public relations strategy. Background and arrest. On November 1st, 2025, Walter Magaya was arrested during a dawn raid at his prayer mountain in Waterfalls, Harare. The arrest followed months of investigations into allegations of sexual abuse and financial misconduct. Magaya faces 5 counts of rape and 13 counts of fraud linked to housing projects and alleged sexual exploitation. His wife, Tendai Magaya, was also arrested but later granted bail. Magaya's bail application was denied and his case referred to the High Court for determination. The charges stem from complaints by women who alleged they were sexually abused under the guise of spiritual counseling. Fraud allegations relate to failed housing projects where thousands of followers claimed they were defrauded of millions of dollars. Police have opened international reporting channels for victims in South Africa, UK, Namibia, Botswana, Mozambique, Malawi, and Zambia. Magaya's legal team argued unlawful detention beyond 48 hours, but courts ruled against immediate release, citing the seriousness of the charges and risk of interference with witnesses. The Zimbabwe Republic Police, ZRP, has intensified investigations by opening hotlines and WhatsApp numbers for victims of rape, fraud, and assault allegedly committed by Magaya. Victims in Zimbabwe and abroad, including South Africa, UK, Namibia, Botswana, Mozambique, Malawi, and Zambia, are encouraged to report cases. Official contact numbers: cell phone +2637 76830226, national complaints 0242703631. WhatsApp +2637128000197. Police have warned against interference with investigations or intimidation of witnesses, stating that such actions will lead to arrest under laws against obstructing justice. Activities inside prison. Magaya is housed in the D-class section of Harare Remand Prison, typically reserved for high-profile inmates. Reports confirm he is holding daily prayer sessions and crusades, attracting hundreds of inmates. These gatherings include preaching, singing, and testimonies, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of his PhD ministry services. Inmates describe him as a humble man of God who brings hope and spiritual comfort during a time of despair. Magaya is reportedly performing miracles, though these claims remain anecdotal and unverified. Beyond spiritual activities, Magaya has paid bail for numerous prisoners who could not afford release and even hired lawyers for some. For example, an inmate detained for 5 months on armed robbery charges said Magaya funded his bail and prayed for him. These acts have earned him admiration among inmates and prison staff, with some calling him a lifeline for the disadvantaged. Humanitarian or PR strategy. Supporters hail Magaya's actions as Christian charity, citing biblical principles of helping the needy and ministering to the oppressed. They argue that his generosity reflects his commitment to faith and service, even in adversity. Critics, however, contend this is a calculated PR move to regain public sympathy amid serious allegations. Observers note the timing. Magaya's generosity coincides with intense media scrutiny and global reporting of his alleged crimes. Victims' advocates warn that such acts could manipulate public opinion and intimidate complainants indirectly. By positioning himself as a benefactor and spiritual leader, Magaya may influence narratives surrounding his case. Zimbabwe Republic Police, ZRP, has issued warnings against obstruction of justice and intimidation of witnesses, emphasizing that any attempt to interfere with investigations will attract additional charges. Legal and ethical implications. Paying bail for inmates is legal, but raises questions about the source of funds and influence within prison. Could Magaya's actions create dependency or loyalty among inmates, complicating prison management? Ethical dilemmas arise. Should religious leaders under investigation be allowed to conduct mass gatherings in prison? These activities blur the line between rehabilitation and undue influence. ZRP continues investigations, and any attempt to interfere with witnesses will lead to charges under Section 184 of the Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act. Legal experts argue that while charitable acts are commendable, they should not compromise the integrity of judicial processes. Authorities must ensure that Magaya's influence does not extend beyond spiritual guidance into areas that could obstruct justice. Public reaction and media coverage. Social media is sharply divided. Some praise Magaya as a true servant of God, sharing videos of his prison sermons and testimonies from freed inmates. Others condemn him as exploiting faith for image repair, calling his actions a strategic redemption campaign. Headlines describe Harare Remand Prison as turned into PhD ministry, highlighting the scale of his influence. Magaya's 42nd birthday celebration in prison drew crowds of PhD members and generated viral content online. Supporters posted messages of solidarity, while critics questioned the ethics of such gatherings in a correctional facility. Media coverage has amplified the debate, with opinion pieces exploring whether Magaya's actions represent genuine faith or calculated optics. Broader social and religious implications. Magaya's case underscores the complex relationship between religion, law, and society in Zimbabwe. Religious leaders wield significant influence, often blurring boundaries between spiritual authority and social power. This incident raises questions about accountability within faith-based organizations and the vulnerability of followers to exploitation. The prison crusades also highlight systemic issues in Zimbabwe's correctional facilities, including overcrowding and lack of rehabilitation programs. Magaya's interventions, while controversial, expose gaps in state support for inmates and the role of private actors in filling these voids. Magaya's prison crusades highlight the intersection of faith, law, and public relations in Zimbabwe. While his assistance to inmates is commendable, it cannot overshadow the gravity of allegations he faces. Authorities should monitor such activities to prevent undue influence and ensure justice is served. Media and civil society must maintain balanced reporting to avoid sensationalism or bias. Recommendations, judicial oversight. Courts should regulate interactions between high-profile detainees and other inmates to prevent undue influence. Transparency. Magaya's financial transactions, including bail payments, should be audited to ensure legality. Media responsibility. Journalists should provide balanced coverage, avoiding glorification or vilification without evidence. Prison policy review. Authorities should develop clear guidelines on religious activities in correctional facilities. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.